All right, guys, we're back again with another great episode of PFREI. I'm your host, Upon Bilal, and today we have Jason Nickel from LeadSherpa. I'm really excited about this interview because I think this is something that everyone is going to enjoy. This is definitely another source that you can use in your real estate investing. So we'll jump right into it. Jason, the first question that I was asking guests is tell a little bit about your background, how you guys started in this real estate world, and then we'll jump into the rest from there.
Yeah. Let's see. I moved out to Colorado where I'm currently at in 2003, started out as a graphic and web designer and did that for a while, worked for a couple of different larger companies, went out on my own, realized pretty quick that wasn't going to pay the bills the way that I wanted it to, give me the freedom that I was looking for. So I did my first real estate deal. I believe it was 2014. And I was hooked immediately. So did a few deals here and there up through the next couple of years, joined a couple masterminds. I think that's how you and I met, actually. I most recently joined Collective Genius. And anyway, the rest is history, really. I went full-time into real estate and realized very quickly then, after my first deal, that's what I wanted to do full-time. So we merged full-time and from there created a team and started doing direct mail and all the other different marketing channels that we're also familiar with. And came up with the idea for text messaging people in a compliant way after I had seen direct mail and some of our other channels start to falter a little bit or lose their effectiveness. So that's led us up to today.
Awesome. Why are you passionate for real estate investing? Why real estate? Why not, having a chain of Taco Bells or something else that's challenging?
I love the ability to do big deals quickly and there's a relatively low barrier to entry, right? So you don't have to have $1 million to get started. You got to have a little bit of money. You shouldn't try and do this game without anything, without any money. I firmly believe that running around saying you can do this thing without any of your own money is sure there's ways to do it. But you need a little bit of money to get started, which I had. So that catapulted me into another level of freedom that I didn't have prior to starting investing. And now we've got some assets that we built up over the last few years and met some amazing people along the way. It's just an easy thing to get passionate about, and it's fun to chase the deals, analyze the properties that you're looking at, and every deal is a little bit different, so it keeps it new and fresh.
Now in your marketplace, are you doing residential single family, or are you focusing on multifamily or wholesaling? What is the type of deals you're chasing?
Yeah, we originally started out, I still own that property. It's just single family. We have many single family homes, a couple multifamilies, but we're looking to go bigger into apartments here pretty soon. So we're just kind of learning that game. We're going to see where the market goes with that. I know we're at the top of the market right now, so that's why I'm educating myself, preparing for what might come over the next few years. So we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, you're looking for possibly some of those people who over-leverage themselves and purchase above price. The bottom is going to fall out, and you well educated and trained, ready to step in and take over, huh?
We'll see where it goes. I never try and time the market, but if I come across a deal, we'll go after it for sure. It doesn't matter what it is.
So leading into the LeadSherpa, I love the concept of it, and I've been in the business for about 20 years. I started in 99, and with me is a lot of grassroots. It's a lot of pressing the flesh and generating leads through that way. So I've tried to do the Mel Campaign. I don't think I did a large enough list to be successful in it. A lot of my lead generation comes from wholesalers, realtors, just a bunch of different people that I've met over the last 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, leads, I may get a lead of 5-6 properties a month, and I may buy 2 or 1 that month, something like that, just from those type of resources. So when I saw the presentation, and I do have access to the different resources that you guys offer, I was like, wow, because I actually get text messages from people who skip trace me and see that my company owned properties, and they find my phone number, and I'm like, wow, this is weird. You know what I mean? They reached out to me directly. Let's talk a little about what led you into doing that. Like you talked about the Mel campaign started to slow up and you had to find another avenue to do it. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I think I did a couple different campaigns that had less than a tenth of a percent response rate, and you do a few of those, especially at scale, and you realize pretty quickly it's just not going to be sustainable. And so, cost per click in my market for PPC was pushing $100 or more, on average, and that's not sustainable either if you're not getting deals out of it too. So it's just one of those things where you're constantly looking for any kind of competitive advantage that you can come up with, right? Every investor is always kind of thinking about what the next thing that they could possibly do or leverage that maybe the next guy isn't using. And at the time it was text. Now we've got, thousands of people across the country all using Sherpa, but it still seems to be working. Otherwise we wouldn't keep growing like we are. So, I think just like any marketing channel, it's gonna have its ebbs and flows. We'll see how long it lasts, but right now it seems to be doing well for lots of people that are using it.
Yeah, you said compliant texting and premium tracing for real estate investors. So let's talk a little about that because we know there's a lot of people who get upset when people reach out to them. And, what are your conversion rates you're seeing? And you mentioned compliant for a reason because a lot of people are just doing these blast texts, not wording it right, and just spamming people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, there's two things that you need to consider in order to remain compliant. One, you can't sell anything, right? You got to be making legit offers to purchase property. And two, you can't use an auto dialing system or an ATDS. And what that means is you can't load up a list, click the button once, and send out a message to 1,000 people. You need human intervention in between each message that's being sent. So you're clicking the mouse button, or someone from your team is, right? But you can get out a couple hundred messages in 30 or 40 seconds. Delivery rates, if done the right way, are going to, be somewhere in the 90+% range. Ours, for my business, we managed to keep it above 95%. Response rates on a fresh list that you've never hit, it's literally exponentially more than what you would see through direct mail, right? So we're seeing 35, 40, sometimes on a high distress list, you might get 45 or 50% response rates, which is, it's unimaginable as far as comparing that to some of these other marketing channels. Now, a lot of those people might just be replying back to tell you that they're not interested, but you're still getting significantly more people responding, raising their hands, saying, all right, what do you have in mind? Let's chat about it at least. You piqued my interest. It's just a way to get your foot in the door.
That's awesome. And now, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, we don't advise people, and I personally don't try and do too much over text, right? So I don't care what the condition of the property is. I don't even really try and push for a price. All I care about is I just want to find out if they have a house that they'd be willing to sell in the next couple of months. And if that timeline lines up and they seem like a legit seller, somebody who really does have a property that they'd be willing to have a conversation with us about, then we're just getting them on the phone and determining if it's a retail lead or a wholesale type lead, and send it through the proper channels from that point.
That's awesome, man. So walk me through the process. So I'm a real estate investor. I say, okay, I want to try to do this text campaign or get leads from your company because you guys have leads also. And I'm in my market. I'm in New Jersey, and I say, okay, I want to buy leads, and you will give me leads that are already scrubbed with phone numbers that I can then throw into this texting system. Like, walk me through the process. Like, how does it work?
No, we don't actually sell leads. So I've created this system. It's a car, if you will. We give you the keys and you're the driver, right? We're not running any campaigns for you. We're not sending messages on your behalf. We tell you how to set it up and just give you the software, this tool to use, and turn you loose.
Got it. So you have the software for me to input my leads.
Yes.
Not sold from LeadSherpa.
What's that?
I said I input my leads that that's not sold from LeadSherpa.
Right. We're not selling lists at
I
this
know.
time.
Got it.
We're moving in that direction possibly this year. But what you would want to do is, we don't know who you want to target, right? So maybe a good place to start would be all your direct mail lists. Get those. If you haven't already skip traced them, bring them to our system. You upload them. It's an automated batch skip trace service where you can get tier 1 premium high quality phone numbers plus about 15 other data points. It'll process 1,500 records every 10 minutes or so, right? So you get your list immediately, click a button, push it over to a texting campaign, and you're off to the races. You can have, a campaign up and running in 10 minutes.
Now your system will sanitize do not call lists and all that other stuff as well, right?
We scrub for litigators. We don't currently scrub for DNC, just simply because, number one, our attorneys who are TCPA focused in that niche. We have 2 different attorneys who are independent of each other, who have reviewed the system, that both have concluded that it is compliant in the way that we built it, right? And so, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought there. What was the question that you just asked?
It was about scrubbing the list.
Scrubbing the list, yeah. So they both have advised us that because we're not selling anything, we don't need to scrub against the DNC registry. It just simply doesn't apply, right? Now, that's not to say you shouldn't do it. I don't advise people one way or the other on that. We just don't do it, right? But the second reason why I personally don't do it is you're going to lose 60-70% of your list right off the bat. So if my attorneys are telling me I don't need to do it, and I'm going to lose over half of my list, then what's the point of doing it? Plus, we sent out 120 million plus messages last year over the last 12 months and haven't had any issues with anybody. We had one contact from a state attorney general, and the attorneys worked through it with them, explained to them what was going on, how we were doing things, and why it was being done in the right way. And they dropped the complaints, and they've dropped subsequent complaints since then because they understand our approach and why it happened. Yep.
That's amazing. That's amazing. What do you see as the conversion rate? What are you guys seeing from the KPIs as a conversion rate for people who are using this tool?
Yeah, it's different for every market and every user's ability, right? So if you've got someone really good managing the system, really good at identifying what a lead is, like I do in my company, and you've got somebody who is good at converting those leads, right? So for me, we're converting 1 out of every 25 to 30 leads. Some markets, the more competitive markets, it might be 40 to 50 leads to a deal. In the Midwest, we see people doing it, every 10 to 12 leads, or people who are stacking their lists and doing things that are sometimes a little bit more laser targeted, where they can get a higher number of distressed, prospects, where they're not just broad stroke shotgun approach hitting everybody, which I recommend both approaches. It takes much fewer text messages to get to a deal on a stacked list or a list that's just highly focused.
What do you? Does this work with Podio or any other CRMs, or is it standalone by itself?
Yeah, we did. I didn't want to make a CRM. And I'm sorry, I'm getting some feedback.
Does like when leads come in, like can you do this through your Podio system, or is this like a standalone tool and then you have to?
Standalone tool. We didn't design it to be a CRM because we knew everybody has CRMs pretty much already set up. People have their preference on who they want to use. So you can easily push leads out into Podio and really any other CRM, right? Because we have a Zapier connection or Zapier app.
Got it. Are you guys using Podio?
I am on Podio, yes. I went down the Podio rabbit hole.
Podio.
The Podio rabbit hole.
Okay.
Meaning there are endless amounts of customization that you can do with Podio. And I hired a developer and spent way too much money developing my own crazy system, but it works.
I know. I mean, there's so many add-ons you can just buy and have somebody implement it nowadays and refine that. I mean, I've learned that the hard way also, so you're not the only one. You spend the tens of thousands of dollars, like, oh, it's already built out and it's already customized. Okay,
Yep.
so it's all good. What challenges are you seeing in your marketplace, with your real estate business, and what are some of the things you're doing to overcome it?
I mean, there's always the saturation problem of everybody. We were first to really to market with this idea in every market for not only ourselves but most of our customers. But there's been some other copycats come along, so we've seen it start to take more text to get to a deal. So it's just a cyclical thing. People will go back to direct mail, go back to PPC, and see what other people may not be using or utilizing as much. But I'm still seeing this is still by far our primary lead generation source. Nothing comes close to touching it ROI wise for us, for my company.
Yeah, people respond fast to the text for sure. I mean, it's
Yep.
You get a text and it's like, yeah, people connected to their phones like another part of their body nowadays. But are you still moving in all directions at once? Are you still using the direct campaign with the text, with the phone calls? Are you still doing that all together?
Text messages are primary lead gen source. We do a little bit of calling. I'm partnered up with other people in other markets too, where we're generating leads for them and just splitting the proceeds too. So my focus these days really is on putting time, effort, and money back into Sherpa, making that better. And then I've got our markets that we're in, they're actually using Sherpa in on the side, if you want to call it that, kind of running on autopilot now.
That's awesome, man. So LeadSherpa.com, everybody. Make sure you go check it out. Any parting words, Jason? I thank you for coming on and sharing this information. I think a lot of people, especially a lot of people in my market, there's a few people I know who are using your system, but not a lot of people. So when this goes out, guys, definitely go to LeadSherpa.com, check it out. Any words for any real estate investors that you want to leave?
No, I guess just keep at it. If it hasn't clicked for you yet, just keep pounding away at it. I was relentless when I first started and never gave up, and that was kind of what allowed me to push through and become somewhat semi-successful over time. So that's the best advice I can give, and I just want to thank you for having me on.
Appreciate it. You still are relentless. It never stops.
That's right.
All right, guys, another great episode of PFREI. I'm your host, Fuquan Bilal. Be sure to check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and all the other social media platforms. LeadSherpa.com. Make sure you guys go there and check it out. Appreciate you for coming on the show.
Thank you.